In 2009, Satoshi Nakamoto created a digital, decentralized financial system that anyone, anywhere could transact peer-to-peer, bypassing the need for banking institutions. This digital currency was secured using cryptography, hence the term cryptocurrency. The currency or coin was called Bitcoin, and the blockchain was the digital cryptographic ledger that validated these transactions. A blockchain is a continuously growing list of records called blocks that are linked, as in a chain, and secured using cryptography. A blockchain is permanent and the data is inherently resistant to modification. The number of cryptocurrencies trading on exchanges is now greater than 1,500 coins. Although many of these will fall away over time, cryptocurrencies and blockchain technologies are here to stay. Gary McAllister is a technical inventor and creative innovator who created the concept of decentralizing clean and renewable electric power generation and distribution to homes, businesses, and factories. He believed this to be a crucial cog in the wheel of both developed and developing nations. Over the period of 2010 to 2013, McAllister realized that the lack of finance was a crucial component hindering the manufacture and implementation of major clean and renewable technologies. To remedy this, he set to work developing a kilowatt per hour currency to self-fund the developments he had in his sector. At the same time, Bitcoin came onto the market and attracted McAllister's attention. The success of Bitcoin spurred McAllister to look at all issues surrounding this new technology and to work with developers on a new cryptocurrency that harnessed the positive aspects of Bitcoin as well as addressing limitations and issues of concern. The Bankcoin Reserve coin was born. From 2014 to the present day, McAllister continues to design new products and processes based on the Bankcoin Reserve engine and, as of early 2018, in association with AAA Blockchain Limited, holds 8 granted patents covering a vast array of technology that can be utilised by all facets of government and financial institutions. McAllister has written a book to explain the fundamentals of his patents. It's called Blockchain Prophecy and is available on the Amazon website. Today, many governments are identifying the relevance of cryptocurrencies and are now making rulings on their classifications. For example, the Australian Taxation Office has ruled that cryptocurrencies are an asset. The Internal Revenue Service in the USA has ruled that cryptocurrencies are regarded as property. The Commodity Futures Trading Commission has issued guidelines in reference to Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Banks are losing market share and therefore profits to digital innovators daily. The current banking system is slow to adapt, so these innovators, being what they are, quickly maneuver around it, as we have seen with Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. McAllister, however, did not create the Bankcoin Reserve coin to compete with banks. His new product, apart from countless other uses, allows banks to adapt to and incorporate the Bankcoin Reserve innovations via licensing agreements. What makes it different from all other cryptocurrencies is that its value is derived from the tethering of the Bankcoin Reserve coin to the ceiling market price of 1 troy ounce of gold over the previous month. That becomes the floor price of the coin for the following month. The Bankcoin Reserve coin is a market price taker, not a market price maker, meaning that the gold price determines the price of the coin. The current price can be seen on the Bankcoin Reserve website and is updated on the 1st of every month. The Bankcoin Reserve coin is a high-value, low-volume instrument which makes it very attractive for use by banks, financial institutions, and insurance companies. The current problems associated with moving large financial asset value quickly and at low cost have been solved. As an example, To move 1 million Bankcoin Reserve coin whose value based on current prices is 1.375 billion US dollars could be moved from one country to another in just a few seconds with a network fee of just 52 cents. The coin also has the unique ability to mint up to 10% of the principal amount held in its proprietary digital wallet. For example, holding 1,000 coins with a total value of 1.375 million US dollars at its current price for 12 months will result in a balance of 1,100 coins with a value of 1.5125 million US dollars. This is assuming that the price of gold has not increased from its current price. Otherwise, the holding will reflect the appropriate increase. What could be perceived as interest earnings are actually defined as digital commodity earnings. In the case of the USA and Australia, this definition is due to the classification made by the relevant government taxation entities mentioned earlier. Bankcoin Reserve uses a proof-of-stake algorithm by which the Bankcoin Reserve blockchain network aims to achieve distributed consensus. In a proof-of-stake based currency like the Bankcoin Reserve coin, the creation of the next block is chosen via various combinations of random selection, quantity, or the age of the coins being held, also known as the stake. In contrast, the algorithm of proof-of-work based cryptocurrencies, such as Bitcoin, uses computationally intensive puzzles in order to validate transactions and create new blocks. One of McAllister's challenges in developing the coin was to create a system that could provide a remedy to fix inherent flaws in the central banking system. These flaws often cause situations where the results include the eradication of a country's sovereignty. Central banks currently use the borrowing at interest method of providing loans to countries, where the collateral usually includes state assets and utilities. Repayment conditions and fluctuating interest rates place huge pressure on smaller countries and make it virtually impossible to maintain sovereignty. Loan defaults often ensue, thereby transferring ownership of these assets and utilities to multinational corporations. This results in the country losing vital income streams and in turn puts a strain on government services, the net result of which includes poorer living standards and higher taxes for its people. Bankcoin Reserve provides the instrument to assist countries in regaining and strengthening their sovereign position with no direct cost to the country or its citizens. One of the models achieves this by creating a long-term contract with a country and allocating Bankcoin Reserve coin based on 10% of the GDP. The net effect is that the minting proceeds provide an income stream for that country. Using this model as an example, the allocation and minted Bankcoin Reserve coin remain under the management of the Bankcoin Reserve for the life of the contract. Bankcoin Reserve also has a match policy which will be explained in this presentation. Even though the 10% of GDP limit is a hard-coded cap, it can be increased when appropriate. For example, when the country's population increases significantly. This creates the transition from a debt-based interest imposition to an asset or commodity earnings model that then puts the country in a sustainable position where, once the existing loans are repaid using Bankcoin Reserve's revenue earnings model, the country will no longer need to borrow large sums of money from financial institutions. This can be applied to a government by creating a Memorandum of Understanding, or an MOU as it's known. This would be drawn up and signed by representatives of the country, Bankcoin Reserve, and AAA Blockchain Limited. Terms specific to the country or entity would be negotiated and agreed upon. The MOU does not legally bind the parties listed. However, a legally binding agreement would need to be put in place to begin implementing terms included in the MOU. More information can be found on page 37 of McAllister's book, Blockchain Prophecy. To use an example of an MOU, the country's GDP is equivalent to $40 billion. An MOU is created, allowing an allocation in coin amounting to 10% of GDP for a period of 25 years. Bankcoin Reserve therefore allocates $4 billion in Bankcoin digital mining assets or commodities at no cost to the country. An initial setup fee of 0.01% of the GDP allocation, in this case $400,000, goes to Bankcoin Reserve. The coin will be minted at 10%, and the country's treasury then monetises the minted coin through its central bank, therefore receiving the proceeds of $400 million per annum, debt and interest-free. The central bank mints its Bankcoin Reserve holding of $400 million per annum at 10%, giving it a revenue stream of $40 million per annum. The match policy means that Bankcoin Reserve would mint an identical amount and allocate 10% of the minted coin to the country to invest in new jobs and the building of new infrastructure. Another 10% would be allocated for the importation of goods and services, for example, medical staff and equipment, trade teachers, machinery, and so on. The Bankcoin Reserve has multiple models similar to the one previously explained, and is making them available to not just countries, but institutions who are in the business of buying treasury bonds. The International Monetary Fund, World Bank, Asian Development Bank, and even the United Nations could transition to the Bankcoin Reserve model under a license agreement that will then enable them to generate more money as well as have more control over their funds. The benefits to countries using the Bankcoin Reserve coin and the associated blockchain technology include the removal of the need to borrow and be indebted to external financial institutions, the removal of the need to issue treasury bonds to pay down accumulated interest on existing loans, the reduction of the interest burden taxpayers have to pay. The Bankcoin Reserve coin is the only product available that is asset or commodity based, having a secondary mining innovation protected by its patents. Governments of countries have a new revenue earning model that can offset taxes due to the new gain. Anti-money laundering and know your customer compliance, auditing and insurance components. The country can create and provide opportunities for its people to start their own small to medium business enterprises using the no interest principle. A Bankcoin Reserve partnership will also enhance and strengthen the country's position in the marketplace by providing full exporting facilities via the Bankcoin Reserve Monetary Transactional Network using the latest in blockchain and mobile technology. Ethical treasury bonds can be introduced and are recommended to run parallel with a country's existing treasury bond program. Coin earnings will comfortably cover the interest repayments. The Bankcoin Reserve instrument is straightforward to implement. Software has been extensively tested. Eight patents in total were granted to AAA Blockchain Limited and Gary McAllister. These patents were applied for in a particular order, and the inventive steps are the following proof-of-stake secondary mining and minted discoveries using the blockchain. The invention concerns cryptographic currency for use in the finance industry. More specifically, the present invention relates to the provision of cryptographic currency by banking or other such financial institutions for their everyday products, such as deposit and term deposit accounts. The financial institution then mints the cryptographic currency up to a certain percentage to pay the interest on the account. A new method for banks, financial institutions, and monetary funds to provide ethical loan finance, including Islamic finance with no interest or usury. Banks, financial institutions, and monetary funds can earn the revenue using a cryptocurrency blockchain-dependent process that provides the minting of new coin and mining of transaction fees. This new monetary innovation method using cryptocurrency applies to and includes entities which require an income-producing asset using any form of named or renamed cryptocurrency, and for entities using any form of blockchain or chain process using the wallet which mints new coin assets. This patent is for the use of the blockchain digital mining asset or commodity innovation for private placement and high-yield investment, replacing the cash component that is required to start a typical program. Digital mining assets or commodities with the option of having the blockchain digital mining wallets would need to be installed at the top 50 banks and/or at the Bankcoin Reserve with the new digital mining commodities using blockchain technology. The invention concerns cryptographic currency and digital mining assets or commodities for use in the stock, share and bond market industry. More specifically, the present invention relates to the provision of cryptographic currency and/or digital mining assets or commodities, stock, share and bond innovation, which fundamentally changes how these instruments are discovered, issued, valuated and rated. It also addresses how they are bought, sold and traded on the digital mining assets or commodities blockchain exchange. This patent concerns franchise innovation for, but not limited to, governments, treasuries, central banks, financial institutions, monetary funds, judicial entities, commercial, industrial, domestic and foreign properties, stock, bond and share markets, insurance captive underwriting institutions, public, private, wholesale, retail and service sectors using the blockchain to discover a master franchise and/or for the discovery of franchises of the new digital mines. This Islamic banking Sharia compliant blockchain innovation provides new methods for banks, financial institutions and monetary funds to provide ethical loans and finance, including Islamic deposits and finance with no riba, interest or usury. Banks, financial institutions and monetary funds can earn the interest or usury using an internal cryptocurrency blockchain-dependent process that facilitates the minting of new coin and mining of transaction fees. A detailed description of this patent appears a little later in this presentation. The blockchain foreign exchange innovation patent facilitates international funds transfers settled locally and nationally by a blockchain sender and receiver in, but not limited to, both countries matching algorithm and proof of stake secondary mining process. Designed for entities such as, but not limited to, governments, treasuries, central banks, financial institutions, monetary funds, judicial entities, real estate including commercial, industrial, foreign and domestic properties, stock, bond, share and IT software markets, captive insurance, Sharia compliant Islamic banking blockchain foreign exchange innovation. These patents can be found on the World Intellectual Property Organization website. This section expands on patent 2017100426, Islamic banking Sharia compliant blockchain innovation. This patent is quite extensive as it includes aspects of the 6 patents granted previously. In summary, it covers Sharia compliant innovation models of the following: Islamic banking or Sharia compliant finance prohibits riba or usury, which are both defined as unjust exploitative gains made in trade or business under Islamic law. The acceptance of interest or fees for loans of money or investments in businesses that provide goods and services considered contrary to Islamic principles are also haram, which means sinful or prohibited. This patented innovation addresses all issues in the current banking and financial sectors that conflict with Sharia compliant finance and brings Islamic banking into the 21st century via the blockchain. It provides new methods for banks, financial institutions and monetary funds to provide ethical loans and finance, including Islamic deposits and finance with no riba, interest or usury. Banks, financial institutions and monetary funds can earn revenue instead of charging interest or usury using an internal cryptocurrency blockchain-dependent process that facilitates the minting of new coin and mining of transaction fees. The Bankcoin Reserve digital wallet has a built-in block explorer so that Sharia-compliant institutions can verify where the customer's transactions are coming from and going to. This transparency is required in Islamic banking, and the technology provides the proof that the transactions throughout the network are Sharia compliant to accountants, auditors, the institution, and the customers. The coin's proof of stake feature allows only legitimate transactions utilizing the transparency of the patented blockchain, and having the secondary mining feature, as mentioned earlier, replaces interest, riba, and usury with actual earnings and revenue returns. Basically, all these prohibited aspects of the traditional finance model have been replaced with a genuine earnings revenue model. To use a term deposit as an example, a Sharia-compliant financial institution is offering 4% on their 12-month term deposits. A customer deposits $137,500. The bank allocates 100 coin to the customer's term deposit. In Australia, banks are able to leverage 3 to 5 times the amount of customers' deposits. So in this case, let's say the bank leverages 3 times. It now has access to $412,500. If the bank then wishes to, it can lend up to 2/3 of that amount using its current system. It's important to note, however, the initial $137,500 is clear of the current system and therefore Sharia compliant. The amount of $137,500 is used to buy 100 Bankcoin Reserve coin. The minting of the coin provides revenue of 10% to the bank. The customer's revenue allocation is 4%. The revenue is monetized by the bank and deposited into the customer's account. To use a car loan as an example, a person walks into the new Sharia-compliant financial institution and applies for a car loan. After the loan is approved, the bank acquires the coin for the value of the loan. As it is classified as property or an asset, the Sharia-compliant financial institution, depending on the country's laws, leverages the coin, in this example, 2 times. Half the amount goes to purchase the actual coin, and the other half, equivalent to the amount of the loan, goes to the borrower. The net result of this situation is that the borrower is only required to pay the principal, and the Sharia-compliant financial institution receives a 10% return on the coin, which takes the form of minting of new coin and hence classified a revenue return. Other examples are in McAllister's book Blockchain Prophecy, located in the chapter Islamic Banking on the Blockchain. Advantages to Sharia-compliant financial institutions who adopt this new Islamic banking innovation include: first, genuine Sharia-compliant banking product that eliminates riba, usury and interest. Generates 10% revenue using the AAA blockchain patented blockchain technology. New Islamic business will be drawn to the institution's new product lines as the innovation is 100% Sharia compliant. Special interest would come from a younger market as they are attracted to cryptocurrencies. In the case of issuing a term deposit, the cost to the bank is zero, as customers' money is used to purchase the coin. In the case of issuing a term deposit, the coin acquired will keep on minting at 10% after the term deposit has expired. In the case of issuing a loan, the coin acquired will keep on minting at 10% after the loan has been repaid. This is the innovation and process that the Islamic financial world has been needing for centuries, and is a product that can undergo any amount of scrutiny and fully comply with the moral and ethical foundations of Sharia law principles. The Bankcoin Reserve instrument is now available for governments, central banks, financial institutions, local banks, and even individuals to acquire a useful, practical, and ethical cryptocurrency. What makes it stand out in regard to other cryptocurrencies is the ability of the coin to mint up to 10% per annum, and is the only coin tethered to the ceiling market price of 1 troy ounce of gold over the previous month, giving it a stable platform upon which to do business.